I want to take a couple of minutes to invite our audience to ask some questions. If you have one, please just raise your hand, and one of our roving reporter microphone people will come over to you. Questions, anyone? I see one over there.
Hi, Jeff Rossi from TD Ameritrade. Lawrence, former Nets fan, and
you're the one, huh?
And hopefully Vegas rules apply here, but I'm curious, who was your biggest coaching challenge, why, and what did you do about it? Not what was your biggest coaching challenge, but who was your biggest coaching challenge?
So name names, Lawrence.
Yeah, just out of respect of focusing more on others and less on yourself, I won't name names, but I will say there's probably been two players in my time as a head coach. I've been a head coach for 9 years that I could not reach. And trying every different method from, I'm more of a confrontational person, and confrontation sometimes has a negative connotation, but it's positive as well, just confronting what's there. When it's right, it's right. When it's wrong, it's wrong. So for me, just getting back to some of these specific guys, in one case, this player hated to be confronted in front of others. Okay, so I tried to adjust. As you say, it's not one size fits all. So it was more private confrontation. He didn't like that either, okay? So then it was in small groups and peers, people that he respected. And it wasn't that he was being picked on. Everyone had their equal share. Again, whether it was credit or blame. That didn't work either, okay? So as a coach, we all know as leaders, you take these failures as your own. Yeah. Okay? When you're unable to reach someone, as mad as you may be in this case at the player, you're also very disappointed in that you can't reach this person. You know, I tried going to his hometown. In the off season, typically what we do, it's never about basketball. It's about meeting the players on their turf, going to their home, doing what they want to do, and having zero to do with basketball. So I tried that. Okay, I also said, you know what, Lawrence, take your ego out of it. If you guys were peers, you'd never be at the same frat party, okay? You just see things totally different. So I talked to my assistants who had a better connection with the player. I said, look, I really need you to lead him in the right direction. Well, after they came back to me and said, hey, we're waving the flag too, I eventually went to our general manager and I said, hey, I raised my hand, I failed, but I think everyone's going to fail with this guy. He's unreachable, okay? And my point being, just to fast forward, now this is 9 years later. He's been on a bunch of different teams. He's never been reached. And I go back to the initial thing I said. You can modify behavior. You can't rehabilitate character, my humble opinion. And so at some point, you have to say, you know, we've tried to reach you. We've tried to do it. But if you have the cultures we talked about and you have your core values, and that person, that player in my case, cannot raise their level, and you've tried many different ways to approach him, different learning styles to get him to buy into what the team needs him to do in order because at the end of the day, look, it's what's most important for the team, not what's most important for the individual. What's going to help us go in the path that the team has chosen. So I can't give you names. I can't give you a good story there. But I can tell you it is a failure when you can't reach that person, and it's still one of those things because when you get fired, and this is the second time I've been fired, you really look deep. Yeah, hopefully not a third, but you do look deep inside yourself, and you reflect, and you say, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? How could I have reached that player in a different way? And then also you really have to take it to a deeper sense. Are there certain types of players? Are there certain type of coworkers that you struggle to connect with? Right. Okay? Because our job is to challenge and also connect. And so there's a lot that I have to learn, a lot that I have to work on, but that's the great journey we're all on to try to get better.
Thank you, Lawrence. Another question, please. We have someone in the middle?
Jerry, can I borrow some of your budget? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You'd be surprised. Oh, well, anyway. Sure, come on over and we'll share.
No, but your first comment about the app thing that you're doing. So how do you know that that's working? What are you looking for your people to get out of it? Because initially my reaction was, oh my God, that's awesome, that's great. And then I'm like, but they won't do it. You know, what is it? Is it part of the bigger picture that you're working on with Exec-Comm? Is it separate? I mean, I guess just can you talk a little bit about that whole initiative?
No, absolutely, and happy to, because it's right now it's something we're piloting.
Right.
Now, the vendor who built this actually does a lot of work with Deutsche Telekom and their call center and uses it as kind of a desk-based training for the people there because they're on the phone all the time. But what it also gives you is the ability, and this is also kind of an interesting thing, assuming that the participants sign a privacy waiver, because there's different laws over there, then it gives us the opportunity to actually track how frequently they use it, how often and for how much time. And it also allows us to track, did they improve? Did they get any better? Did they essentially score higher? So there's a lot of metrics around it. And I have to admit, you know, sometimes you do these things and you kind of trip when you first start. We didn't get the privacy waiver signed for the first group that we put through. So we can't get any of the information at all. So it's kind of like, okay, now we got to go back to them and ask them to sign this, which of course none of them wanted to do. So it's kind of like, okay, let's set that one aside and start again, but now we'll have them sign this stuff up front. So as we go through that, we'll be able to track. But in all honesty, I still keep stepping back and looking at it and saying, what's really going to make the difference is just the fact that they're practicing, right? Whether they're getting it, quote, right or scoring better or not, if I can just get these people to practice more often, then it's a win. Because we do know if we have people, and you teach a lot of this as well, you know, if you're going to do a pitch or a presentation or one of the beauty pageants our folks are in terms of trying to win business, if you practice before you go, you got a much better shot of winning. So I'm pleased that we can just see numbers that show that they're practicing. And just so you know, the second group that we actually do have the privacies on, we are seeing people are using it. So at least there's enough of a novelty there that they're playing with it. But there's a lot of things we can track, but kind of manage expectations. Let's just get them in the practice mode.
You know, I think that's an interesting thought that I'm sure there are many people in the room, I can include myself in this, who are often asked the question about measuring results. That, you know, our organizations make a big investment in the training, and somebody who's writing the check wants to know, how am I going to measure results? And I think part of what I hear from our panelists today is that what we can focus on is measuring the degree of effort that's going into changing the behavior, because we do seem to agree that when enough effort goes in, when there's enough practice, we see change, we see improvement. And so that may be a way that we can respond to that question that often comes up.
I just can't convince the management team that measuring practice is an optimal result. But I'm trying.
I think our influencing class might be something that you'll be interested in.